Let me quick start with the introductions. And sorry for the inconvenience, gentlemen. Um, so I'm Murli Polakam. I'm the Digital Transformation Executive of CloudSire. I also have Nate Roybal, who is the Director of Partnerships and Embed Sales. I want to quickly highlight on what we do. We are an IT services and consulting company based out of Denver, Colorado, in United States. So our company primary focus is integrations and automations, and we classify our practice areas into three different pillars. So we talk to a lot of customers, and the bigger challenges is like how to have a seamless integration as one of the primary backbone for achieving their digital transformation, and that's the focus area for us. We help customers sit with them, understand their application landscape, help them through how they are set up. We understand their complex data formats, it's the disparate applications spread across, and we define the integration strategy for them. Doesn't matter their applications are on the cloud or if they are on premise or there are legacy applications, but we come out with a right integration strategy for customers to have a robust, seamless integration across the applications. We also provide API management services, not just for communicating between their systems, but also talking to their external customers. And the modern businesses are more towards monetization. Their business model itself is on the monetization aspect. So we work very closely with the customers. We understand their business cases. We help them on what is the right way to monetize their business. We help them build their entire API economy. And automation, which is a very big pillar for us today. Um, we classified into multiple layers like enterprise RPA, hyper automation, enterprise automation. We work closely with customers, so but not just limited to building the front office and back office automations, but helping them with imbibing the cognitive AI and NLP aspects into the business, and so that the bots are self-learning and doing a lot of repetitive tasks which are done by humans today. So this helps in optimizing the workforce and better leveraging them at areas where they are really required. The last aspect of automation where we really project that our core capabilities are is enterprise automation. We add these two buckets of integration and API management into that. So this is where our customers really like us to work with us. We are not just talking about the automation, but we are talking about bringing in the capability of integration and API management into it. So it builds that whole seamless digital transformation journey for them. So moving on to the next slide. Uh, when we see today in the businesses, modern businesses, everyone have data marts, everyone has data warehouses. They just want to have a standard master data management layer, but their applications are disparate. I was talking about a lot of SaaS applications. Companies have subsidiaries. They work with a lot of external B2B partners. There are a lot of mobile apps. They do a lot of social media communication today. So there is no scenario where we call like a one technology fits all. We still understand these disparate challenges with the customers. We work very closely in helping them to put a standard data model. We do a lot of data cleansing. We work very closely with them. We don't put too many technologies per play, but at the same time, there is no way that I can have a single technology aspect addressing all these scenarios. So we optimize that layer for them. We help them to sail seamlessly. We build that standard digital transformation layer for customers. So moving on, I just want to quickly highlight on the agenda of today's webinar. We are talking about M&A specifically and how a Syncari platform is helping us. I'll briefly discuss about M&A, the challenges, and I'll hand it over to Nate. We'll talk about Syncari platform, which is accelerating the modern M&A scenarios today, followed by M&A use case and demo by cloud-side developers. And then I'll hand it over for questionnaires. So quickly getting into the M&A, I mean, it's a very brief explanation. Most of the people know M&A, but it is very important for organizations to understand when they are involving in that phase. They just need to do a lot of consolidation of assets, their operations, create common synergies, and drive growth. So that is the primary objective businesses look for. So a lot of strategic planning and due diligence is really necessary. Identifying the company targets, assets, do they really align with their overall business strategy? What are the company financials and how are their market positionings today? And what are their operations? How are they spanned across geographies and what are the potential risks? So while uh, this is being discussed in the due diligence process, I think the valuation is a very key phase. Understanding the revenue of the company, what are their earning assets today, uh, understanding the market share and the future growth potential, puts together a nice negotiation approach for the companies which are acquiring, and which helps them in deciding what is the purchase price, what can be the payment structure, and what is the post acquisition arrangement they can move forward in working with the acquired company. But there are a lot of legal and regulatory considerations comes into the play. Doesn't matter if the company is still in the same geography, or sometimes the acquired company is in a different geography like Europe or Asia Pacific. The different compliances have to be taken into consideration, exclusively talking about the regulations and antitrust considerations. But last but not the least, I think integration really plays a very, very critical role in the M&A. When I talk integration, I'm not specifically talking about the tech data integration. I'm talking about the peoples and the processes which are involved in it. But when we break it down, the processes, I think we'll slowly get into the aspect of data, which is what we're going to highlight as we move forward. So data really plays a very, very critical role from the strategic planning to the point of automating their business processes. But during this journey, I think businesses face some challenges I want to quickly highlight before I hand it over to the Nate. So there's a lot of data complexities which comes into the play. There is a lot of inconsistent, fragmented, and so data stored in different formats. So they all have to be taken into consideration. All these duplications, inaccuracies of the data, and the outdated information has to be eliminated. A lot of cleansing is required much before the systems are integrated. So there's a lot of work which is done ahead of the curve, much before the integration kicks in. Is because of the disparate application landscape within the company which is acquiring and the company getting acquired. Like I was mentioning about the regulatory compliance, I think the data acceptance and the security considerations, they all play a very different path. So they also need to be taken into serious consideration while setting up an M&A digital transformation journey for customers. So I will hand it over to Nate so that he can highlight more on Syncari capabilities. Over to you, Nate.
Thanks, Murali. So this is a hefty slide, but the reality is that we've seen Syncari, because we include all these functions you see here, right? A huge number of connectors, things like ETL, data store, dedupe and merge, enrichment, workflow. We're able to actually help with a huge number of things in the M&A process, right? Typically, as part of the M&A process, you have to align data sets, right? Kind of maybe create a customer 360, create overarching policies, potentially create some workflows and some routing. Maybe you have to enrich, right? And Syncari is a really dynamic platform. You can kind of build the process that makes sense to you. As hopefully you'll see a little bit of in the demo here, one of the other interesting things about this approach is the fact that it allows you to go off and migrate slowly, or maybe not even completely migrate at all, right? We have customers that certainly start with Syncari, realize they have 2 or 3 Salesforces, a couple Marketos or a Marketo and a HubSpot, and they've built out, guess what? They spent 10 years as a company building out processes in one Salesforce, and 5 years building out processes in another Salesforce, and then a bunch of time building out their Marketo, right? And so the idea of actually consolidating those 2 or those 5 into a couple of systems not only means a huge amount of spend and a bunch of time to actually get successful, it actually means rebuilding a bunch of stuff that was already working and actually potentially slowing down their business, right? So because Syncari can actually work as more than just a bridge, it can work as like a unification layer, right? We can actually see that these platforms can continually work as if they're one platform, right? So we have multiple customers that actually start with us and never consolidate. They keep their great Salesforce that they've spent years building and the great Salesforce stuff that their new acquisition has spent building, and they combine them in Syncari and keep them working as if they're one. Next slide. So what does this kind of mean for most of our customers, right? A huge amount of reduction in manual work, right? And M&A, anybody who's experienced it knows it is a lot of manual work. From the steps Morali went through, right? All the way to the actual nitty-gritty of getting down and mapping each field between systems on a application by application level, right? It's not something that anybody necessarily enjoys either, right? And so what we see is that customers can use Syncari to align data sets, right? Conga is a primary example, and you see them mentioned here a couple times, right? They started with us right as they merged with Apttus, right? So they've got Conga and Apttus with great Salesforces, great Marketo processes, all this stuff, right? And they very quickly saw that, look at that result right there, right? $650,000 in savings in the first year alone, right? Just because they did not have to consolidate these platforms, and they did not have to go off and do this big consolidation M&A motion, right? They were able to stay as productive, in fact, more productive through the combination of data, instead of having this beginning process where, well, now both companies are less productive because we're running all their systems through these crazy M&A processes. Their IT teams are both completely consumed, and now maybe their operators, salespeople, marketers, CSMs, everything else doesn't really know where to go to do stuff, right? And so there's all kinds of loss in just ancillary things, but this is just talking about engineering, right? And we see the same thing across pretty much every customer we work with, right? Whether it's somebody on the smaller side, 50 people who just need to, consolidate a couple applications and merge with a much larger entity, or it's two very large companies merging with a whole bunch of set in stone style processes that are needing to actually be joined and become pervasive. Yeah, back to you, Morali.
So Satik, you want to take over?
Yeah, Murli, I'm in. Yeah, so hello everyone, this is Satvik. So briefing about the use case, let us come across a scenario where there is a company A and a company B. So company A acquires company B or vice versa. So now this parent company wants the union customer data of both the company databases. Here's where Syncari comes into the play. Syncari helps in unifying the data which is stored in the MySQL, which is the destination. Slack here acts as a channel communication. So this is the pipeline which we have used. Salesforce and HubSpot are the source CRMs of the data of companies A and B respectively. And the data is integrated into Syncari with the help of attached records, which have primary keys such as account name and phone number. Then the integrated data, the unified data, is inserted into MySQL. This is the destination CRM. And we also have two Slack features here, which detects a new record inserted and sorts the number of employees less than 15,000. So this is a Syncari workflow which has four main processes. Attached record attaches the record with the given configuration. Unification further has three sub-processes, which is finding duplicates. The duplicates are found with the help of primary key, and the winner is selected among them using a certain criteria. And then after removal of the duplicates, we merge the records. Decision function perform the functions on the statements and the true or false conditions which you have. And yeah, Slack here acts as a channel communication, as I already said before, and it reflects the notifications of the operations being performed in the Syncari. Now over to Rahul for the demo.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Rahul, and let us go with the demo. We're on the Synapse where we connect our source and destination endpoints. So, for us to use in this M&A case, our customer data of company A and B are in HubSpot and Salesforce respectively. And we're using MySQL as the destination endpoint and Slack as our communication channel for conditional formatting. So we go to our Sync Studio, and this is our pipeline. This is where all the magic happens. And yes, so as we see, the two source endpoints are connected with attached record, which is again synced with Syncari. And let me quickly show you our source endpoints. So this is Salesforce and this is HubSpot. We have a total of 20 records in HubSpot and 12 records in Salesforce. So that's around 32 records on whole. And yes, so these records through attached records are imported to Syncari, and then in Syncari we configure the unification pipeline where just give me a second. So we configure the unification here in Syncari's entity, and there are three stages. So finding duplicates, and this is how the duplicates are found using when any two or more records, the phone number and name is equal, right? And then the winner is selected once the duplicate is found. Is we have configured it with the earliest created record is the winner, and then when the winner is chosen, two or more duplicate records are merged into one unique record. And then after the unification is done, after all the duplicate records are found and merged into one unique record, all the union of these two CRM data is inserted to MySQL. This is to MySQL, and you know, let me quickly show you MySQL as well. And this is our destination where all the data is exported to after unification. So if you guys observe, there are 29 records which are exported to MySQL. But when we have seen our source CRMs, there are 32 records, out of which 29 records are after are unified and unique records. So this is about unification. And if you guys see, there are two decision functions we've used connected with Slack functionalities. One is to sort the companies between two categories. They're having the number of employees between less than 15,000 and more than 15,000. And the other is to detect a new record inserted to Syncari. So let us quickly check the case where we check if a specific company has an employee count less or more than 15,000. So for that, we're going to Salesforce and we're selecting a company where, let's say, Edge Communications, right? So if we see here, the employee count is 1,000, and we quickly take the external ID of it and we run a live test. So we can run live test two ways in Syncari. One is by date and one is by external ID. In this case, we are using an external ID. We are selecting Salesforce because our record is in Salesforce. And we paste it and we start the test. So the beauty of Syncari is we have a clear log of data after the test is run, so that debugging is made easy. We have all the log data, so that whenever there is an error, debugging is made very easy for the developers. So here, if we see, the test result is here, and if you guys observe, case 1 is completed, it says, and case 2 is skipped. So what are case 1 and case 2? So here, if we get into this number of employees decision function, there are two cases written, true and false. If the number of employees of that particular company is less than 15,000, then the condition becomes true and case 1 is executed. So here case 1 is executed and case 2 is skipped. Let's see what case 1 is. We go to our Slack, and yes, it says that the following company has less than 15,000 employees and the name is Edge Communications and the number of employees is 1,000. We go back, we verify it's the same. So it's been executed successfully. We go to the second part of our decision functions, which is detecting a new record. For that, we will quickly go to our HubSpot and create a new record. So we create a new company called maybe LG.com, and we say we create it, right? And after creating an account in HubSpot, we find if there are any null values. If there are any null values, we fill it up and we make sure that the data is crisp. And when the data is crisp, Syncari takes the data and we can go ahead with our Slack functionality. Give me a quick second. Uh, okay. Let's just quickly see. Okay, one second. So let's quickly take another example of data because I think it's probably my internet due to which there's a certain issue.
You need a different phone number or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just sent you a number. Try that.
One second. Probably. So that's it. Thank you very much, Murli. So once this is done, the company is now created, and we go back to Syncari, and we resync our pipeline, and we select HubSpot here because the new entity is created in HubSpot, and we go to our yes, as you can see in a snap of time. The Syncari has already detected the new record in the account entity, and it has returned value. Thank you very much. Over to Murli.